This video has been sponsored by Apex Maker and their new X1 3D printer. So when you order something online and on the photos it doesn't really look all that big? Well, in this case, when the Apex Maker X1 turned up, it was quite a lot larger than I thought initially from just looking at the photos and seeing some written down scripts of how big it actually was. This thing was about twice as big as I thought it was. Specifically when looking at the specifications, the 8K screen, the incredible speed, etc. It was quite amazing that they've been able to package that into a printer of this size. I've only seen it on the smaller ones so far, so that is pretty exciting for this one. As far as features goes, this one is pretty fully loaded. It has a fully automated resin feeding system, and you can just feed it in from the bottle when it's empty, but it's easier just to fill it up with the bottles first before using the feeding system, as it takes quite a while to fill it up. But once it needs to maintain a level to a specific standard, then it's really good to use that automated feeding system. It also has super high speed for printing. It is capable of printing 18 centimeters or 180 millimeters per hour, and that is quite a lot, and specifically with a printer this size, something very usable for rapid prototyping. Besides, of course, being able to print really fast, it has an 8K mono LCD screen and also a 16-inch screen, which is quite big. So again, not only can you go in height, but also in width and depth for a really, really impressive build volume. The resin vat is also able to be heated so that it gives you a more consistent quality and output of prints, and it does that fully automatic, so you don't have to do anything about that at all. And it also keeps you up to date on how warm it is and if it is still heating up or not. Now, this printer that I have here is still a pre-production prototype, so it doesn't have the full functionality the actual printer will have in the end, and some minor glitches here and there. But even having said that, everything turned out really well. The printer worked super great. The touchscreen was really, really easy to use and really responsive as well. And none of the features failed on my end, so it was a really good experience overall. Now, just to give you an idea of size, I'm just putting my crock here. Normally I'd use a banana for scale, but a crock for scale is also a pretty good one, and since my feet aren't really all that small, I think this is pretty darn impressive. Usually with these 3D printers, you fully need to calibrate them, set it up as you need it to be, level the bed, and do all those kinds of things. In this case, the bed is pre-leveled, pre-calibrated, so simply just pour in the resin and start printing. Now, speaking of printing, I've already printed the test file and was majorly impressed with how that came out. Super fine quality and incredible speed and size as well. So I decided to go for a bit bigger of a model than I usually build, and that is the Tesla Cybertruck. I found some files on Cults3D from a user called Prototype. He has some other files on his page as well, so if you want to give him a follow, make sure to do so. I will be leaving links in the description down below. Now, usually I would use a Elegoo Saturn, Saturn 2, 3, or whichever model is available, or something in a similar size. Now, in this case, the Cybertruck is pretty big, so it would need to have a pretty steep angle. It would fit on there, but it needed to be pretty high and therefore take a lot longer to print. In the case of using the Apex Maker X1, it very much fits flat on the build plate and has a lot of room to spare. Now, not only that, all the other parts would usually take 2 or 3 full build plates on the other printers. In this case, every single part that I needed to print aside from the body fit on one build plate, one print, and was finished. So I first printed off the body at a small angle just to make it not as flat to the build plate as it could be, and therefore create some errors that you don't want. So a slight angle just to help that print out a lot easier and a lot better. The first print failed just a little bit on some specific areas, so I just went back to the slicer, resliced it, added some more supports, and tried again. And on the second one I had a lot more luck. The first one isn't all that bad, but the second one was just a lot better, and with the printing speed and time, it wasn't really all that long of a wait. Now, I did not print at the highest possible resolution on this printer. I print this at 0.02. Normally I'd go to 0.01, but in this case I've tried it and some of the prints just failed and or didn't even come off of the build or didn't even come off of the printer at all. And that of course is a failure, so we didn't really want that. And at 0.02 it worked really well, specifically with some of the faster settings, and the print came out just fine. Now there are some layer lines in this one. As I said, the printer is still a pre-production prototype, so it's not up to full standards yet, so it did need a little bit of sanding here and there. But since the Cybertruck is a pretty flat and angled car, or truck, or in this case just a model car, it was really easy just to sand everything flat with a nice smooth sanding block from Display and some sandpaper. Then I applied some primer, sanded it again, added some more primer, painted it black, and then applied a gloss clear coat on top. And then let the clear coat dry up for a couple of days before moving on to the next stage. Now, as some of you might know, the Cybertruck is made out of exposed metal. I think it's stainless steel or aluminum, I'm not really sure, and that usually has a brushed finish in it. Now, when painting metal, it is best to paint it on top of a gloss black surface, so that's why I painted it black and clear coated it in a nice glossy finish first. And then I just scuffed it up to make it nice and smooth on most of the areas, and added a rougher grid sandpaper to put in those sanding scratches, lines, or rather a brushed finish. Now this is the first time I've tried something like this, and it didn't really exactly turn out the way that I wanted it to, but overall for a first test, not too bad if I may say so myself. I think maybe next time I'd need to go for an even rougher grit and not go for a fully smoothly sanded surface underneath, but just go for a 400 or maybe even a 320 just to sand those in. Now the lines are pretty nicely to scale if I say so myself, but since they are really fine and down to scale, they aren't really as pronounced as I'd like them to be. So I did give it a small test on one of the areas that wouldn't be seen all that much by sanding over it with some 600 grit just to get them into the top surface of this painted layer. And that wasn't really a finish I was after either, so I just left it at that test and didn't do it to the rest of the body and simply just left it as is. So now that we figured that out, or didn't really figure that out, maybe some of you guys know how to get more of a stainless steel, brushed steel finish in an easier or better way, do leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. But with that said, I could just move on to the assembly, put in the interior, which was quite hard as the bottom of the interior was already molded into the body itself, and the chassis will be fitted underneath that later on. So the interior pieces needed to go in through the windows, and they were just a bit too small for some areas, so a bit of bending, pressing, and just closing my eyes when putting some things in did help, but it was quite a hassle, and maybe some redesigning of the files is required here or there, or maybe something like an instructional pamphlet or manual just to help out a little bit. Overall, not a major problem, but still a bit scary. Now the one part that did not fit at all was the rear trunk or the bed floor, and that simply just needs to be trimmed off at one end and then pressed in place really, really hard until it snapped in and was never able to be taken out again. I could then move on to putting on the chassis and adding some of the exterior plastics, or at least the black trim bits, for around the wheels and underneath the doors, etc. And after installing all the black trim, I could move on to the wheels and tires. The wheels were pretty much just a hubcap that fit into the tires, and they could then be glued in place. The tires were painted in a Tamiya rubber black, and the wheels, or at least the hubcaps, were painted in the same gloss black as I painted the rest of the body. Nothing special there. Now, one of the things that is still not something you can do on a resin 3D printer is create really nice and clear thin parts for the glass. So I simply just made some templates with some tape, put that onto some clear plastic sheet from Evergreen, put some masking tape on it, masked it off, painted it black, and the rear halves were painted with a clear smoke to tint them, same as the panoramic sunroof for the rear section, also painted black and then tinted with some clear smoke, and then everything could be glued in place. And with that roof piece now glued in, that's pretty much it for this build. Now I did not go overboard in detailing, as this is a prototype printer, but also a prototype car. which supposedly is going to look like this, but probably isn't, or maybe it is, or not. Who knows? I think it kind of looks cool, badass, and with some of the details just left out more into a concept state, I think it looks really, really cool. Some final notes and thoughts on the printer. I'm also really impressed with that. It is not capable of printing at the exact layer height that I'd like to see it, but as far as prototyping and high-speed printing, that is absolutely something this printer can do, and can do really, really well. The prints came out really nice, really fine, and are usable parts, and that is a great thing for a printer like this. Some of the amazing features like the air purifier, even the power loss function as well. So when you lose power, the printer turns off, and with resin printers you usually have pretty big of a problem there, as you'd need to do is clean it out and fully start from scratch. This one has the function to just resume the print after the power loss and just move on from where you were left off. It also has a built-in HD camera, so from your phone or the app you can just monitor the prints, see if anything failed, or just how far it is and how it is looking. So that is something really interesting. On mine it wasn't installed, and I didn't really take the time to install the camera myself either, so that is a function I'm yet to test, but that's maybe something for next time. Also, the other cool feature is the auto resin refill. Nothing really special, but with a printer this big, it is nice to have an extra bottle of resin next to it, so it just keeps the level of the resin where it needs to be, so you don't run out, specifically when printing full build plates with a lot of parts on them. That is the last thing you want to do. Of course, the resin vat heating is also something really great on this printer itself, as it gets a lot more consistent of a printing quality and just reduces fails. And of course, as far as usability goes and ease of use, it's just simply unpacking the printer, setting it in place, putting it on a level surface, and the rest is pretty much already done. The build plate is pre-calibrated, and just start your print. If you're interested in one of these printers, I will be leaving a link in the description down below to Apex Maker, and I also want to thank them very much for sponsoring this video and giving me the opportunity to share this printer with you, and doing that with a cool project. All the links will be down below, so please do check those out.